Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Boom.
Calendar. I still can't see. I'm trying to mark with me. We have exciting things. How many people are going to Mega Camp? Are you going? Bradley? Woo!
All right.
And then we have a few more people that are not here. Anybody online going to Mega Camp? Put your hand, chat.
Yeah.
Are you making Chris or Marcelo? No, Marcelo can't.
No.
All right. I'm gonna skip ahead on this. Just, I know it's not the right order, but since we were waiting for you to bring this up and I brought up Mega Camp. If you are not attending Mega Camp in person, you can still purchase the digital version. I believe there's still a discounted price on that. You can go to kwconnect.com and go to events and then drop down and you can get Mega Camp. If you have a maps coach, you get Mega Camp for free. So take advantage of that. And then let's go ahead and go to the calendar. Okay, so this week we have, where are we? Slow down. Invite only, super fun your 401k. So once you become a mega agent, top agent, you'll get invited to stuff like that. Know what to do with all that money you're making.
Tomorrow, if you can hear me, tomorrow I'm going to be going over. So with Command, I'm going to be kind of starting a new series, I think. And I'm going to kind of go in line with what Tanya and Kelly have been doing with the workshops. But I'm going to be going over Command in segments. And so tomorrow, I'm going to be going over a lot of the connectivity features in Command, the setting features in Command, how to set up everything. If there's anything that you want to customize yourself for your website, there's like in the settings and in your profile, there's a lot you can do to make it your own and make it custom and present yourself to your clients the way that you want to do on your own time. So I will be going over that kind of stuff tomorrow. Bring all the questions you want. I will, be directed based off your questions as well. So I have some ideas, but I want your feedback on what you want to learn as well. So
That's in person or Zoom.
yes.
And then
I'm going
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Dwight, wealth building series. What part is it?
4.
4. By now they should be rich, right?
Well, they could be.
So I'll be
His wealth building classes are fantastic. I've taken them before, and I love that he always sends me little messages about what I should be doing. New agent workshop. We'll be finishing up writing offers. So new agents, if you weren't at the class yesterday or on the Zoom, then check your Slack channel under the workshops. We've entered in the RMLS sheet that you are to write an offer on.
Yeah, and if you've already been through that class, I just suggest you do it again.
It's different.
It's a little bit different every time. We got into a little bit deeper this time. And so I think the information is better, a little bit different, and I think you'll learn something more, especially as you move through transactions. I think you have a better understanding of the economics of how a real estate transaction works, and it'd be good to go back and revisit the form again and get a deeper understanding of that. I mean, every year I learn something new about that agreement. I'm not done. I've been doing this for 21 years. So
Well, they change it.
And they do change it. But I think it's a good idea to revisit and come back and become a master of that document.
Right, and it's not just the document class, but all of the classes, even though it's 5 weeks and the titles are the same and the subject is the same, we're hitting different information on each one of those. Like you have a buyer and what are you going to do with them? Setting up on searches. That went totally another route other than just pulling up RMLS and showing how to do a hot sheet. So
we try to make it so the class has a lot of input. And so as your input comes, it can take us off in a great direction and get into new corners of the industry. So
right.
Cool.
They've been great classes.
Yeah.
All right. So after that, we have the New Agent Mastermind. We have Benjamin from America's Preferred Home Warranty coming and talking about home warranties, what they do, how you can talk about them. And then small group meeting and then mega camp next week. Next week, there will be no team meetings. There will be no new agent workshops because one, leadership is going to be down in Las Vegas. So And then the new agent workshops, Kelly's gonna be in Vegas and I'm gonna be camping. So, but Austin and Heather and Brian will be here, and for Gary's sessions that he has first thing in the morning, we will have warm breakfast here for everybody, both on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Einstein bagel sandwiches and Qdoba
Burritos.
So come get some. It's gonna be great.
I might have to drive
We'll
all the
have our
way
own.
back
Yeah.
just for the burritos. Just kidding. So yeah, if you're, even if you do purchase the Mega Camp digital version, come and learn and watch it and have breakfast on us, and don't forget your mask.
But then, because we don't have a class or a meeting next week, we just kind of want to touch up on a few things early into the following week, the last few days of August. So profit share and pastries, Dwight will be having his profit share class. We will be getting a little bit of food for that as well. So if you haven't heard from him before about profit share, come on in. He has a great class all about how you can maximize that opportunity that Keller Williams has provided to the agents. And
Building your downline, getting that passive income, and having something to pass on to your generation.
And interestingly enough, I don't know why it's not on here, because Rochelle, you and I talked about it, and it is on the calendar. It's not showing up here for some reason. Maybe, oh wait, it's later in the day.
There it is, Rochelle's
Rochelle.
social media.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about this. Rochelle's on with us. She wanted to touch up on a few things about her social media roundtable class. Rochelle, you there?
I am here. I'm just having like technical difficulty. I don't know if you can see me or not.
We can.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I've had a few people ask why I don't do social media roundtable hybrid. And it's because I do a lot of live demos based on questions that are given to me during the roundtable. And it's hard to get on the platform and be on Zoom at the same time. So that's why they're in person only. I'm happy to do an online class if you want like a specific topic like Facebook 101 or Instagram 101, TikTok 101, LinkedIn 101, whatever. So if there's a certain platform you're interested in, go ahead and put it in the chat so that we can get that scheduled. But that's why we do the roundtable in person. It's just because it's, you come to me with whatever questions on whatever platform, and I hop on that platform in the moment, and even we'll show you how to post or do a story or add stickers to it. And it's just the computer doesn't like to be doing Zoom / also on these other platforms at the same time. So it's just kind of complicated, but that's why we do it in person.
Yeah. And there are a few people, there's actually, I don't think there's anyone at the office that's more versed in social media than Rochelle. So I definitely recommend going to her classes, because she is the expert in how to utilize social media for your business.
Absolutely, especially those that are just, you know, haven't had a Facebook business page before, or haven't had a Google business, or you haven't had an Instagram, and now you know you need one. Those would be great classes to go and ask questions and have Rochelle help you make sure that you're maximizing that for your business.
But other than that, I think, did you want to mention real quick, there's one extra thing that we added recently about the mandatory compliance thing on Monday after. We need to do
The
that.
Monday after mandatory compliance and all. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Monday, the 30th.
Oh, yeah.
Monday, the 30th, Kelly and I are teaching a mandatory class for all new agents, but anybody can join if they want to. It is going to be at 1 o'clock on Monday, so right after the new agent workshop. We are going over opportunity compliance. And what we're seeing is a lot of people are not putting their transactions in command and submitting to compliance until after the fact, after it's closed, or halfway through the transaction, not at all. And the check comes in and we can't find your transaction. So the importance of, no matter what type of transaction it is, whether it's personal real estate, your own transaction, it still has to go under for compliance. Kelly has to review it. If Kelly can't review it and we get audited, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So it's all about making sure that you guys are legal, you're doing things right. Plus, especially for the newer agents, us having that insight, even though you might, you know, hey, Kelly, can you look at this? That doesn't mean that it's been submitted for compliance. It still has to get submitted and uploaded to us. So we're gonna go over how easy it is to get your stuff into Command and get that over to Kelly and your commission as well, because we want you guys to get paid on time,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
ultimately, that's what it's about,
Well, and being compliant.
right?
If you submit it to me halfway down the line, there's no chance at fixing something that maybe was wrong.
Right.
So it's all about having another set of eyes to make sure that your clients are being represented properly and that we're staying compliant.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyone can join that.
And just to answer Peter, because to go back, Peter saw your chat or your question. So yes, so Mega Camp has gone all virtual in Austin, Texas. So we're still the KW Northwest is still doing their regional event in Vegas that people are going to be going to. But if you're interested in the virtual event, you can access it and still register all the way up until Mega Camp starts, and you're able to just go ahead and see them, see the classes, go to the breakout rooms or breakout classes they have throughout the week. I'll send a link in the chat so if people want to register. I also have the newsletter go out this weekend with links and more information on how to sign up for Mega Camp if you want.
And in the past, they've had the breakouts, all of Mega Camp open for 2 months after Mega Camp actually happens. So if you're busy next week, you're out of town, you can always go back and rewatch the breakouts and actually watch everything at that time instead of just what's available while you're actually live, right? So you can maximize the use of getting all of the education and the training to help you with your business. Yeah, good.
Yeah. All right.
Too close to the camera.
You want to do your
All
thing?
right, are we ready?
All right.
Ready? Woo-hoo,
All right,
I can
everybody.
stop talking.
All right, so, go ahead.
Is the compliance class hybrid or just?
Everything is gonna be hybrid
Yeah,
now,
hybrid.
except for Rochelle's class
Yeah,
because
let's
of her thing.
specify. So there was a couple things on there. I'm gonna go in
Yeah.
and tweak and make sure that everything states if it's hybrid, in-person only.
And the
or
link is
Zoom.
there.
Yeah, the link is there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do that. I'll be having that today.
All right, cool. All right, so today's broker corner topic is going to be about personal property versus fixtures. And this is something that Dwight and I talked about. And the more we talked about it, the more questions we had about what's a fixture, what's personal property, and how do we operate through it. So I've had a lot of fun with this and started digging and even got a little bit more confused. And I think I've come up with a solution. But I thought we'd just go through it and have a little fun with it too. So should it stay or should it go? Avoiding the clash over personal property and fixtures. And yes, that's an awesome play in words. Thank you very much.
Come on.
Next.
Oh, the clash. I didn't realize the clash was in there.
Yeah, now you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with some definitions here so we can get a kind of a base understanding of what's what. So personal property, which it says over here, you can't see it. Property other than real property consisting of things temporary or movable. That's by Merriam-Webster. Next slide, please. Personal property, another definition, this is by the Cornell School of Law. Any movable thing or intangible item of value that is capable of being owned by a person and not recognized as real property, synonymous with chattel. Next, please.
Oh, that just,
Oh, here's another one. Oh,
did it just go off? There we go. That was weird. It just, yeah.
okay, personal property. Any property that is not real property. The only exception is when the personal property becomes a fixture, that is, becomes affixed to the land or structure, and is then deemed to become a part of the real property. Fixtures, except for trade fixtures used in the trade or business, are legally included in the conveyance of real property unless specified, carved out into the transaction. That's by Phil Quern, attorney at law. So what's a fixture? Chattel, personal property, that was at first movable object that then became part of the property due to it being attached with an objective intent to improve the property. In determining what qualifies as a fixture, the standard used determines whether the chattel can be removed from the property without causing substantial harm. If the removal would cause substantial harm to the property, then it qualifies as a fixture and cannot be removed. Cornell School of Law. Another one. This is by our friend Phil Quern again. Personal property that is affixed to the land or structure on the land that such removal would cause significant damage, which is an interesting word, significant damage to the land or structure. In the sale of a home or building, fixtures are regarded as part of the real property purchase. The only exception is in commercial properties where trade fixtures may be removed before closing, although the property must be restored by the seller in doing so. Sellers and buyers should be careful to designate what goes and what stays in order to avoid arguing, usually after closing, whether the buyer has the right to remove it. The item, fireplace inserts, chandeliers, and similar items are good example of personal property that should be specifically identified by the buyer that wants them. All right. And so I went a little bit deeper on this, and so I thought like I'd go into the history of the law of it, and I did get a little too deep and it got a little bit boring, but I found this to be kind of interesting. Okay. To understand the law of fixtures, one must know its origins. The history of the law of fixtures involves several theories. English law follows the maxim, and I'm not going to try to say this in Latin. I'll just go to the. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Got it.
Go. Can you say it loud for
I
me?
just no.
Top tour, solo credit.
All right. So whatever is affixed to the earth goes with the earth. Whereas American law uses several different tests to determine whether an objective should be classified as a fixture. These tests are vague and subjective and result in inconsistencies when applied substantially similar fact patterns. That's by Hofstra law. Okay, so we are going to play KWPP's new favorite game, does it stay or does it go? The chandelier, does it stay or does it go? Stays, okay. Next one. How about a sconce on a wall? Does it stay or does it go? It stays, okay. Next one.
Okay.
The light bulb. The light bulb is screwed into the sconce. Does that stay or does it go?
Stay.
But you can remove it without causing a lot of harm.
It's on the contract. It specifically states.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
It's easily removed. Wouldn't cause any damage by removing it. All right. Okay. Next one.
That's a cool
We'll
light
keep-
bulb though.
That's cool. That's simple. Okay. Next one.
Oh, terrible.
That sub-zero refrigerator. Stay or go?
Ooh.
Stay.
Stay. Okay. All right. That's a real nice fridge. Counter depth in there. Real nice. What do you think about that one?
Stay.
You think that one stays?
Only if it's asked for, I think. Go.
If you handed the real estate contract, stay.
Well, if it's not mentioned because they think it's a fixture, what's the difference between a sub-zero and this one?
Isn't it mentioned in the personal property section? of
The RMLS wouldn't matter, but if it was listed in the personal property section,
The zero is built to look like the rest of the place. This one's not.
sub-zero is built in and this is a slide-in.
Slide in.
So that might be the difference, but let's keep going. This is good point.
Are anybody saying
Right.
anything online? No.
This is a TV mount that's mounted to the wall.
Stay.
Stay. Okay.
And he goes.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, did you say that stays?
That stays. That's what they're saying. They're saying it stays. Now that's a TV mounted to the mount that's attached to the wall.
TV can go downstairs.
Under what principle do you think? Maybe it wouldn't cause damage by removing it. Substantial damage by removing it. Maybe.
What's considered substantial?
What is called? Okay. But does it add value? Was it put there to add value to the room? Okay. All right. Next. All right. So these are speaker mounts that are fixed to a ceiling. Stay. Okay. Next one. What about the speaker that's affixed to the mount that's affixed to the ceiling?
Stay.
You say stay?
Oh, Peters.
Yeah.
There we go.
What Peter
That's
said?
what I want to hear. Peter said stay.
Peter says stay on the speaker.
Yeah, go ahead and speak up, guys, because having to pull the chat.
Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, well, so the funny thing about Bose is they run like on half an ohm, and for you audiophile geeks, you know what that means, but it just means like a power, I don't know, maybe you can explain it better, I can. But it runs like half an ohm. It's a really unique power source, and it doesn't, you can't just plug a Bose speaker into your standard stereo and have it work. So this is the custom Bose
Receiver.
receiver. Does this stay or go?
If it goes with the speaker system.
Yeah. I'd say stay.
You say stay?
I say it goes.
You say go?
It's not attached to anything.
Maybe, but what is
part of the system, Peter?
what is part of the system?
That seems like salt and pepper type, when you don't separate.
What if it's part of the system that It is attached.
It is built in.
You better ask for it.
All right.
Keywords right
I
there.
like that. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, these curtains, what do you guys think about these curtains?
Oh, they can go. They're not
go.
very exciting.
The rods stay, the curtains go.
What's the rod stay, the curtains go? There's no rod on that though.
Yeah, there's something that's holding it up there.
Yeah, but would removing it cause substantial harm to the property?
Ooh.
Huh?
Plus, it's outlined in the agreement.
I like where you're going with that, Peter. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this is an installed shower rod. Right here, it's hanging from the ceiling.
It stays.
Stay, the curtains.
Curtains go.
Curtains go. All right, let's go to the next one. What about that one? You can't see it very well.
Oh,
Go.
Go. Okay, that's pretty good one. You guys got that one. All right, what else we got? How about some cross fencing? Stays, fencing stays. Okay.
Yeah.
Potted plant, it's a tree, potted tree. It's a heavy one though. And then what about this one behind it? This is huge. This one's like,
Goes.
goes?
they're
Yeah.
planted.
Yeah, I think goes. All right, so this is what I came up with as a solution to this, all right? So I'm seeing, from my research, I saw a lot of varying descriptions of what personal property and what a fixture is, mostly what a fixture is. There was, one said that light bulbs are not a fixture because while they are fixed, they can be removed. Some people say they do stay. I just found a bunch of different definitions, and I don't think you can rely on any of them because there's not one standard. So what I would go by is if it's not indisputably fixed into section 2 up here. So if it's not one of these items, a remote control, smart home feature, keys, yada, yada, yada. If it's not any of those things, if you cannot clearly describe it as one of these things, if it's not indisputable that it's one of these things, and your clients want to keep it, they better put it right here in section 3. And conversely, if you're representing a seller and they want to keep something that is not clearly defined here, then it should be listed up here. All right? Any questions? Yes.
Okay, so obviously like a built-in range is a fixture that stays.
Right.
But I've heard horror stories of problems happening with that. Is there any negative to writing that into the personal property?
I don't think there's ever a negative to writing it in, except for maybe someone starts saying, "Oh, well, you said it's not." It becomes a negotiated item. But a built-in range, like a built-in, like a freestanding range
That's just slides in.
that slides in, that would be considered personal property. If it's built in, then it would stay. Sometimes the difference though between if it's built in or not is just a piece of wood that goes at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a little piece of trim piece. So you could make an argument that any kind of range could be lifted and taken out. But like a built-in, just a cooktop, right? That would stay obviously. I don't think you'd have to write that in, but a freestanding range, I'd always write it in. I would always assume if I see, that the stove cooktop combo, that I would think that it could be taken out. I would always list that. Yeah. What was your question? You had a great one earlier.
Oh, no, I was just asking, so it's personal experience. So I did install a ceiling, what do you call it? Ceiling racks for a garage for storage.
Mhm.
Like you get like Costco and stuff. So like in that situation, I did have to use pretty significant screws. It holds about 700 pounds.
Yeah.
Had to screw it into the fixture or to the wood in the ceiling of the garage. In that situation, there's honestly a personal thing of I don't want to get back up there. So it's like,
Yeah.
take it. But like legally, I don't know, like contract wise, is that part of a
I would
fixture?
think that'd be a fixture because it is definitely a fix to the property. I think there would be harm from removing it because you're probably screwed it into studs, right?
Yeah.
Right, so there's probably could be harm done to the property by removing it, but
I would
gray
add it
areas,
in.
add it in.
It looks
Yeah.
great.
Like, yeah,
Good height. You don't have to bend underneath there. It's
there's
great.
no mention of shelving in
No.
section 2.
Yeah.
There's no mention of shelving in section 2, so I would write it in if I wanted to exclude it or include it.
What was that, Peter?
That's definitely a fixture.
Yeah, because it is a fix, but it's not listed.
But
And
it's
there's
no
so many
shelves
different
are listed.
definitions that it's just better to.
So, here's a question.
Mhm.
When, as we go forward into the future, homes are gonna be more likely to have, chargers for electric vehicles.
Mhm.
One of the options you have when you buy electric charger, a level 2 charger, is you can have it hardwired in versus plugged into like a NEMA 14 port that allows it to just like a dryer's outlet.
Right.
And so is
Yeah.
there a difference if it's a
I think
fixture
so.
hardwired in
So,
versus just?
I absolutely think so, because it's even rated, it's even stated in here.
Attached to electric.
Yeah, what does it say?
Yeah. No?
Smart home features.
Smart home
Irrigation,
features?
plumbing, ventilating, cooling, heating, water heaters, attached electrical light bulbs, fishing lamps.
They've changed that.
It used to say something about electrical wiring in here. It's funny that it doesn't
They've
say
taken
that
a lot of
anymore.
stuff out.
It's funny that it's not mentioned anymore. But I would think if it's hardwired in, it should be left. But again, varying opinions on what a fixture is. It's not mentioned in here. I would add it.
If the seller hasn't stated it in RMLS that it stays with the property and your buyer wants it and it's not clearly defined, add it in,
But even if it is stated in the RMLS, that's a separate
Add it
contract.
in.
It has to be added in.
right?
Because don't rely on the RMLS
Well, I meant like if it's
representation.
stated that they're taking it.
Oh, right. You're right.
Yeah, I would also add to this conversation that our forms are basically living documents. Every year, the forms committee at OREF gets together. Phil Quinn has always been the consulting attorney. And so the people on the forms committee basically raise issues about what they're experiencing in terms of the challenges that the forms present. And so the personal property, this section right here, gets rewritten probably every year.
Probably
Yeah.
every year. Yeah.
And
I
it's
expect it
on
to be,
new things that are brought into the system, like
Smart home.
Yeah.
smart homes, right? Sonos systems, flow systems. And so, they have to be very, very careful, given Phil's advice over not going too far and leaving some of it to the agents to be smart about putting in to protect your clients. And, if you've done 5 deals, you've had personal property debate on at least one of them, most likely. So the point is,
write it in. Like, don't leave a lot of gray area unless that's your intention.
yeah. And so what tends to happen when we walk through a house, we have 20 minutes because, it's on the schedule and the next family's coming behind, and we write an offer and we don't get a chance to go back through the house if we get it until the inspection period. And we didn't really have a chance to let any of the personal property sink into our minds. What do we do?
Well, I go back and look at the photos. I go back and look at the photos of the listing and try to get a handle on it, but you talk to your clients. You have to talk to your clients about it.
Yeah.
Like, to correct what I said earlier, don't leave any gray areas unless that's what you want to do, not what you want to do. Don't leave any gray areas unless that's what your clients want to do. If it's a big deal, you go back and revisit the property and take a look at it. But in this market, time doesn't always allow for that sort of thing. So take your time while you're there. We've been talking about it when trying to fill out trying to fill out the section about the fixtures. And when you say the refrigerator or the washer and dryer, we'd like to be more specific about it. Like I see some people adding wording as of the time of the showing, so it could be more specific, but even that could be difficult to prove. So you can always take a photograph of the stove, of the washer and dryer, if you think those are going to be things that someone's going to want, of the refrigerator. So at least you've got some sort of point of reference that you can use. It's time stamped on your phone in case they try to bait and switch you, or even if you get the model number, you can list it specifically in the personal property that's going to be left. So there's no gray area, right? Eliminate the gray area, and unless your clients want gray area. Like there's I could see someone saying, well, there was a wine fridge in the cabinets there. I'd like to have it, but I don't care if they take it or not. Maybe you leave that off and you try to make a play for it later and say, hey, the wine cabinet's going to say right, and they think it's not. Like, well, it's a fixture. You could have some sort of little debate about it. And then if they don't get it, then great. They do get a grade, whatever. But for most cases, it should be very specific.
There's some great thoughts on there, like Mark, the freestanding range would remove a cook source, which is required by a lender,
True.
which is true.
True, but
So
I just wouldn't
the-
leave it up to the appraiser to make that decision. What if, because the appraiser's one that's going to catch it. So what if it gets removed as they're moving out?
And then they put in a cheap one.
Or they don't put one in at all.
Yeah,
I had a weird one. I had a person I had the agent forget to exclude the hydraulic car lift.
Oh, yeah.
$20,000 lift.
Right.
It was bolted to the ground.
So what Brad was saying is he had a seller forget, it wasn't his client, you were the buyer, who forgot to remove, to exclude a hydraulic car lift from a sale. And I don't think, in a residential sale, I don't think you can call that a trade fixture like you would in the sale of a garage or something. And so what was the solution on that, Brad? Did you guys,
You sailed that.
you sale failed over
It
it?
didn't matter.
It didn't matter anyways, but
Still entertaining.
yeah. I bet you he was in a huge panic because those are expensive, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I told him to stay.
We recently had one and the owner, the buyer didn't want it because it was probably 40 years old, out of an old gas station probably. And the challenge was when you pulled it out, we learned that the plunger went down in the ground 5 feet. And so it left a massive hole in the concrete of the floor in the garage. And so
That's substantial damage.
I told the owner, you have to fill this hole. And then the question was, well, how do we fill it? How do we pack it to make sure it stays so it doesn't break out? So, these things do present a lot.
And then when you go to disclose, just to go off on a rabbit hole, the next time when they go to sell the house, does the property contain fill? Kind of does now,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so weird.
Well, they actually had it checked for oil leaks
Oh, yeah.
because the plunger had hydraulic
Yeah.
fluid that allowed it to go down into this concrete basin. And they did, the buyers wanted to have soil samples done.
Right? What if it leaks into the ground?
Yeah, so it behaved a little bit like an oil tank. So, they can all be a little bit more complicated than what you would think up front.
Yeah. Guys, remember, real estate's not checkers, it's chess. So think a couple steps, you have to think a few steps ahead, otherwise you're gonna find yourself in peril, so.
Linda's got a great one. What to write out that you don't want to stay,
Yeah, that's very good.
right?
Yeah, so,
It's old hot tubs, who wants to have to dispose of that?
yeah, that's probably more important, right? Is what you don't want to be there. Yeah, so that would be in section 2 is where you would list the exclusions to fixtures. Section 3 is where you would list the inclusion of the fixture, the personal property.
Right.
Place structure.
That's a good one. So like a fence, right, is dug into the ground probably. So I guess it depends if it's into the ground or if it's just sitting on top. Like, I would hope, I mean, I don't know, like it's usually.
Well,
they're
the beautiful wood ones are typically in concrete in the ground.
Yeah.
Because if you get swinging,
Mhm.
you can tip them,
Yeah.
like the old metal ones. From years ago, you could get swinging and the whole thing would tip over and
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
So, today, the wood ones that you can get are usually in some sort of concrete to anchor them down.
Mhm.
And once you've done that, it's a fixture.
Yeah, my answer to you would be that eloquent Latin phrase. If I could speak it.
Quick kid.
All
Good.
right,
All
Any
right.
more?
Well, Mark was just commenting about the garage chargers that are hardwired, stay, car lifts. If they're 4 posts, they're most likely freestanding. If it's 2 posts, they're actually bolted to the floor. So
Oh.
that's kind of good to know, right?
Interesting.
Check and look, right? It's always about looking and making sure what's actually attached and what's not.
Mhm.
And then,
That's actually good stuff, Mark.
yeah,
It's really good
of course
stuff.
he knows the car stuff,
Right.
right?
Yeah, but if you're, I guess that's why you work with Mark.
If you're buying a car,
Right.
a car garage instead of a house.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I'll tell you about one that I've had, and I just recently had it, probably last year, second half of the year. The people had just purchased a new $2,200 refrigerator that was a slide-in, but it slid into a cabinet so that there was about an inch gap all the way around. So it looked like it was a fixture to someone that didn't know. And their old refrigerator, which also fit perfectly in the cabinet, was in the garage. And so what they said was, after closing, they wanted to put the old one back in and take the new one. Now, I've had that happen. I didn't let them do that, but I've had it happen where we walk into a house and the washer and dryer are a different washer and dryer, and the microwave is a different microwave, and the refrigerator is a different refrigerator. So if you've been in the business long enough, what Kelly said earlier, which is, take pictures of them, sometimes you can figure it out from the photos online, but you have to assume, I think we saw a lot more in the downturn, right?
Mhm.
When people were coming out and they were kind of like taking everything they could possibly take when they sold a home because half of them were short sales.
Right.
Right.
Right? So they would pull up the best carpet, they would go bring, take light fixtures with them. And so, you know, we haven't seen it so much lately, but if we go back into an economy where the deals are a little bit tougher, then you do fight over all the personal property. And so this is why it's a good habit to be very clear about it today. Get trained on it.
Right.
And, you know, when I first got into real estate, I sold a lot of country property. And we would always joke and always get a little nervous when people started talking about like tractors being involved in the sale, because you'd be surprised at how many real estate deals would get lost over a tractor, right? So make sure you try to keep your clients, keep their eye on the ball, but they're buying the house, you know? Like the other stuff's great. Just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you didn't get the tractor. Don't buy the don't not buy the $3 million lot, right? Or $3 million property. So so try to keep. Yeah, I did that.
I lost one.
Yeah.
Over right.
Yeah, the riding lawnmower, right? Just like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So you.
By the way, a tractor can cost $50,000.
Right, $50,000, right? It's expensive, but
Yeah.
not worth it. I mean, they can be replaced. But
If you want to just list a ton of stuff as much as you can, would you do like a blanket addendum then?
yeah, but you gotta remember your marketing offer, right? And this is the seller's market, so you gotta set expectations, I think, with your client about what they're gonna get, what they're not gonna get. Yeah.
There's Mark's got sale to include existing kitchen, refrigerator, clothes washer, dryer as viewed on August 12th.
Yeah.
Which is great, but how do you prove it was there on August 12th?
Right,
That's
make sure you take a
just the devil's
picture.
advocate of that, is how do you prove it was there?
How about electric fences for pets?
That's a good one. I would imagine that they're affixed to the land because they're usually buried underground.
The cable is.
The cable is, but is
The
the
rest of it
power,
plugs in.
right? So now it's a system. Is it, but is it stay or go? I don't think so. I don't know. I think it's such a gray area that you have to write it in.
Has anybody ever sold anything with one of those radio towers where you have to have a license?
Yeah, we do.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Actually, that might even been something that was once included long ago.
Oh, I
maybe.
remember seeing it on there.
Yeah, it wasn't once that maybe included in the personal property thing. That's called a fixture. Maybe. Well, solar panels. Solar panels. There's a good one, right? They're installed. Removing them would certainly cause harm,
Right.
substantial harm to the roof. They probably should stay. But a lot of times they're leased,
Uh-huh.
and so they maybe take the panels and leave the brackets.
Satellite dishes,
Satellite dishes was a big one.
dish network.
Mhm.
What would it be? What
Those
does it
used to
take?
If it's affixed to the house, you would think it would stay. But just the mount is fixed. The satellite itself is probably removable,
Right.
like a light bulb. So,
Because that would fall into the.
What about the
TV.
hard, what about the fact that it's a system and it wouldn't operate, one part wouldn't operate without the other?
good question.
What about the dish, the dish?
The commander,
Yeah, whatever that unit's called.
Yeah,
What about that?
yeah, I would think
Stay
that's
with the dish.
replaceable because there's probably, you
You can
think,
get a deposit back if you take it back.
true.
Just had that happen.
So write it in is the answer. Write
Buyers
it in.
wanted it, seller said, I get $300 back if I take it back.
You gotta lease your own, right?
That's right, you gotta lease your own. You gotta call them yourself, pay the fee.
Yeah. So there are traps everywhere in home sales, right? So we've got to be looking at these things, anticipating them. We're not just door openers, I think is what, this is what we're talking about. We're not just door openers, just because we can access a house and we can do this job. We have to go through, look at a house with the intent of, hey, my client might buy this. They might want that. I need to figure out if I need to write this in or how is it that I protect their interest in their purchase. Yeah.
What about something like rocks?
But what?
Like rocks.
Rocks?
Or-
Landscaping.
Yeah, that's a good question, right?
Landscaping Rocks where they're not fixed, but does it cause damage when you're?
They're not fixed. And it wouldn't cause damage.
Is it in the thing?
It's not listed.
Landscaping?
Huh.
Yeah, it's not like it's listed.
Linda's gotta.
I don't think you need to write that in.
Generators.
Generator? Yeah, I think it depends on how installed it is. I mean, if it's bolted to the ground. But again, we're talking about, it's probably bolted to something that's bolted to the ground.
So then.
Look, they excluded a rock last year. A key rock.
A lot of times they're just, like, I live in Mount Park, I've got some rocks that like probably weigh tons, I mean, they're huge, enormous rocks. And no one's gonna move those, because it'd be so heavy.
How about flowers in gardens, trees, roses?
They-
That's
They
fixed.
stay
That would stay.
unless it's excluded,
Yeah,
like if the seller wants it excluded.
yeah, I think, but is it listed in the, I mean, this
Yeah.
is just, you can just go
Heirloom
forever.
roses or whatever,
That's why,
they'll
yeah.
do certain
Yes.
things that mean something to them, they'll.
We're gonna, come with the KW.
See how deep
25 page
this can
standard
go?
addendum.
Why
Check
it's
mark
so
next to-
important,
Following things.
the following things are pictures.
Yeah. Included but not limited to.
Yeah.
Right. All right, anybody else, anything else?
Yeah, Iowa.
Yeah, those only Iowan rocks are personal property. All right, well, thank you guys for the great discussion. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a great week. See you at the other classes. Enjoy mega camp. And hopefully by the 30th, we're like done with the masks again, because it'll be 14 days maybe.
Hope so.
Yeah, like last time.
China's gonna be praying over that. All right. Thanks for coming today.
Everybody.
Bye.